Our next speaker is Chip Osborne, who's the founder and president of Osborne Organics in Marblehead, Maine, also a friend of mine. Has over 10 years experience in creating safe, sustainable, and healthy athletic fields and landscapes, and 35 years experience as a professional horticulturist. As a wholesale and retail nurseryman, he has first experience with the pesticides routinely used in landscape and horticultural industry. Personal experience has led him to believe there must be safer ways to grow plants. His personal investigation, study of conventional and organic soil practices, and hands-on experimentation led him to become one of the country's leading experts on growing sustainable, natural turf. Chip is a Beyond Pesticides board member as well. So Chip, take it away.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. So I'm not going to tell anybody how to grow organic grass. This isn't a grass workshop, but I always say when I share the bill, with a group like this, and especially following Warren, I always feel inadequate because all I'm doing is growing something. I'm just taking a seed and growing grass, but he's made the distinct case for us that we've got some real problems going on here that are happening in our backyards, because how many people are going to go out tomorrow and buy weed and feed if it's fertilizer and poison? And it's the 2,4-D that he just talked about. And that's what's going down on our playing fields. So a lot of the work that we're doing is trying to show that we just don't need these products. So that's my role in a short time. A few slides to set the stage, a bunch of pictures, and we'll let that speak for itself. The fact that it can be done. Extensions around the country are not big fans of mine. They don't particularly like me. They call me anecdotal because I'm not science-based. I don't have research behind me. But, I always tell them, let's just take a walk and look at some of this grass, and we'll see, why. So the problem that we have is that we're under a framework where all of the turf grass research in the United States is funded by an industry. Two industries, the synthetic fertilizer industry and the chemical pesticide industry. So those products that fertilize, those products that control. So all of that funding comes from there. Goes to extensions, they do all their turf grass research. That information goes into the classroom. Then the students are taught that, they graduate, they go out into the real world, and then they purchase these products that they've been taught to grow this grass. So now in many cases, extensions are high-priced salespeople for chemical manufacturers. That's what we're operating under. So I call it choices and challenges. We all have choices to make and some very specific challenges. Organic versus IPM. We heard some talk this morning about IPM. And I want to make very clear that the IPM that you heard this morning is structural IPM. There is grounds IPM and structural IPM. But in the landscape now, we're beginning to think about organic. Because IPM is simply a decision-making strategy, but it has been co-opted in different ways over the years. When we're talking about grounds, IPM is a legitimate pesticide reduction strategy for buildings and like that. But when we're talking about grounds now, we really have to be focusing on a non-chemical approach. So it is that proactive organic, because if we're taking pesticides out of the equation, something has to go back in to take their place. And what has to go back in is a very thoughtful and sound proactive organic program. Organic is putting a series of preventative steps in place so that problems don't get out of control. We solve problems, we don't treat symptoms. We are sold a bill of goods or a bunch of product in the conventional industry to treat symptoms every year. That crabgrass control product that you use every year is just putting money into a product, into a corporate pocketbook, because they count on every spring you buying that. We make the problem go away. Crabgrass, once and for all, goes away. So we have to be particularly careful about talking about IPM on grounds here in Connecticut, because here and elsewhere, there's an industry that's stepping right up, that conventional industry that's saying, well, we don't need these bans on pesticides because we have IPM in place. That's not the right, that's what the industry wants us to do. They want us to fall back on that for grounds. So we're beginning to talk about, that approach. A few of the myths surrounding organic lawns. You've all heard these. It's too expensive. It doesn't work. Means a lot of weeds. There's no training available. We don't know how to do it. Now we look at myths surrounding organic management of turf, natural organic management of athletic turf, those spaces where our children play. Same three things. Too expensive, doesn't work, means lots of weeds. Fields become dangerous. We've got studies here that show organic grass causes more injuries. Fields need more work, more labor. Compaction increases. They need to be rested. They can't take the wear and tear that their chemical counterparts do. So that heavy use is restrictive. Miscellaneous myths that people hear out there. All pesticides are approved by the EPA for safety. Well, we know clearly that's not true. No chemicals means grubs and insects are going to devour that system, and it's just going to be lost for good. Grass areas, become lawns or fields always filled with bare spots. The idea that organic equals bare spots, that equals injury or unacceptable turf. And organic is not science-based, that those of us in the organic community are anecdotal. But remember, a pesticide by definition kills, repels, or mitigates a pest, and there is no pesticide in the market that grows grass. Something else grows grass. Every athlete deserves healthy turf. That is just something that we owe our children. Conventional strategies are product-centered that generate revenue. Our approach is systems-based. So we are not focused solely on product, although it is part of it. And a systems approach to natural turf management encompasses three different concepts. An understanding of the soil that we learned in high school biology. It's alive. And nature put it there for the sole purpose of facilitating the growth of some type of plant material. Natural organic product as dictated to us by appropriate soil testing. And then some very sound cultural practices that as an industry got so far away from because the bag, box, or bottle very quickly solved lots of problems. So that's what organic land care is, and that's what organic land care is not. And with that, just some pictures that, they say for 1,000 words. This is everything you're going to see is a variety of land-based systems, all managed organically, never intervened with even rescue treatment products. We have field hockey where we're cutting grass. You all know the organic lawns, 3 inches in height. This is cut 1 3/4 inches. But we can do it because we have strategies in place. Kids and baseball, homeowner lawn, old Kentucky bluegrass that was neglected for 15 years, 70% crabgrass and weed pressure turned into that in about 14 months. Not instant gratification, not quick fix, but ultimately that problem was solved without any control product. Horse pasture grasses horses like organic grass too. This is a horse pasture that was carved out of the woods, 100% organic, with very little. Gets nitrogen, less than a pound of nitrogen a year to maintain that system. Large estate properties where we're dealing with 80,000 square feet of grass, too much grass. I'm always after the client, get rid of grass, put something else in there. But nevertheless, we have a mandate to manage it, to meet those expectations, and we certainly can. One of our premier playing fields, this is in Marblehead, Massachusetts. This is a 7-year organic model. Long shot, closer and closer, there are no weeds. There does not have to be weeds. So all of that propaganda that you're hearing, that you cannot put those pesticides away because weeds are going to come in and destroy the system, there's never been a pesticide on that piece of property from the day it was created. And that's just what we can do. And then when we look at the negative, fungal issue, that's all fungal disease. No control product. Cut the grass, raked out the debris, put down a little bit of compost as a top dress, and turned it into that in about 6 weeks. So we didn't control anything. And then we have a horse pasture over in Westchester in New York. Struggled. All the extensions came in. High-profile client, tried to change it, couldn't change it. We came in with an organic program, and in 11 months, turned it into that. So we met the client's expectations without intervening with anything from the control side. And then again, just another multi-use field, and I just always do these close-up shots so that people can see that we're not playing camera trickery here on a long shot, but in reality, we are in a weed-free system. And in closing, I will leave you with that thought that this is something that we owe our children. I've shown this slide to the National Football League, Major League Baseball, and asked those chemical applicators if they had put 2,4-D down on that field 48 hours before their daughter was lying there with her water bottle and her face in the grass, because they were suited up to put down that product and what they know about that material, what would their comfort level be with their daughter in that grass, and their jaws dropped because their conventional training had never allowed them to make the correlation between what they were doing and what the potential end result that Warren just talked to us about could possibly be. So with that, that's Grass 101. Thank you.